There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
All right, what do you say?
We're back at it.
We're back at it. They signed us up for another 100 seasons.
Yeah, they renewed the contract.
Another 100 episodes, not 100 seasons. Woo! Anyway, so here we are. Hunter McCamey.
Yep.
Good to be back.
Back for another episode. You know, episode 100 was a hit. I mean, everything seemed to flow great. It was a great show.
I feel so, underdressed now at this point.
Right. But yeah, thanks for everybody that has watched, either if it was live or even after the fact.
Right.
Thank you guys for watching the episode. We certainly had quite a bit of fun with that one. But now we're back at it with 101. So
exactly. First of all, we're thinking about everybody here in our home state that has that hurricane that is affecting them and getting ready to affect them.
Yes.
We're getting some pretty good bands outside. So if we lose you tonight, and we lose power or we get some interference or something, we're sorry. We'll pick it back up either as quickly as we can or, we'll make it up to you, I promise. Maybe I'll get Hunter to throw in some extra gift cards or something in the next show. But, yeah, we've got some outer bands, and then, of course, we'll be thinking about everybody up there in the Panhandle that's going to have this thing bearing down on them. But, as everybody knows, we're Floridians, so we can handle it. All right.
the show must go on.
The show must go on. So, Rod Building 101. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. So we're going to dive into, we got to kick it off first. We got to start with the why, right? Like why would you build your own rod? Or, what's the difference between maybe a rod that you can buy in a store?
Yep.
What we sometimes refer to as a factory rod.
Yes. Or store-bought.
Or store-bought rod.
Yep.
Versus a custom rod. So we got to start there first, right?
Yes.
And then we're going to dive into, what we have available through Mudhole as far as, startup kits, rod kits, what do you need to get into rod building?
Right.
And then also what resources that are available to you once you do have these startup kits or rod kits at your home.
Because that's a great point. If you got all the stuff, but don't have any knowledge to go with it, that's not going to get you quite as far. So I've always been, before I was an employee at Mudhole, I was a customer. And I was always impressed at the help that everyone here at Mudhole would provide. And that's not only in person, pick up the phone, call one of the sales / tech, customer service, whatever you want to call them downstairs. We got a whole team of them. And then, of course, now, in the last, 5 years especially, but even before that, the guys here have beefed up the online resources. There's videos. We got 100 episodes to go back on and, laugh at some of the things that we do and why we do it. But we try to help you guys.
Sure.
So tons of resources, even down to the point of if you need some guide spacing or if you need measurements on an MHX or a CRB blank that you need to buy a winding check for because we all leave things out of our cart accidentally and got to go back and buy that one little piece here or there. So, yeah, it's not only good to have the right stuff, but you got to have somebody to show you the way.
Yeah.
So, yep.
So before we get into all that, a little bit of housekeeping to get into.
A little bit,
right?
Yep.
So some big news that was released a few weeks ago.
Yep.
Is an important announcement regarding Mudhole and American Tackle, who have now merged together and been acquired by Foundation Outdoor Group.
Yes.
So for those folks that are primarily, Mudhole customers, really not much is changing, right? You guys might receive a little bit of different, packaging or shipping, supplies or anything, in your future orders. Mm-hmm. But besides that, really not much is changing. So
I might say what? Foundation Outdoors on the bag or something?
Yeah,
Is that what you're
exactly.
getting at? Cool.
But you know, there's really no negatives to this change. There's just positives to come. So
For sure. Well, you're still here, so
yeah,
positive. Baby.
still got that credit card ready to
That's
give
it.
those items away.
Yeah, maybe
so.
we bumped up the limit. I wonder what the
Yeah,
I wonder
there you
what
go.
the old fog bank account's like. We could up that you know, the Hunter McCamey budget.
Yeah.
We also have some new products.
Yeah, we do. So just actually launched on the website today. We have come out with a small selection, 6 different all-in-one kits.
Awesome.
So essentially this is, you know, you guys are probably familiar with our startup kits, which we have our core startup kit or the advanced rod building startup kit.
Yep.
So it's going to take the core startup kit and pair it with a rod kit to make an all-in-one rod building kit.
Perfect.
To where essentially you're going to get all the tools and supplies to build the rod.
Yeah.
And you also get the rod and the components in the blank to go with it. So
sure.
it's all in one shot.
And you know, with everything happening these days, earlier and earlier and earlier. I mean, I think I heard that there's like pumpkin spices already back at Starbucks or something. So they're already setting up for Halloween. So we just went ahead and we're putting some all-in-one kits out there so you guys could just start shopping for the holidays. Like, just go right ahead and you know, get your pumpkin spice latte. And if you know somebody that might want to get into rod building,
This is it.
I mean, that's it. You know, they don't even have to shop. So
Yeah.
knock it out, all-in-one rod building kit, put it under the tree or wherever you need to put it.
Yeah. So we have, we'll get into it a little bit later on, but just to give you a little brief, little extra on top of this, we have 2 spinning
Yep.
models, 2 casting models,
Okay.
a fly kit, and an ice kit. So we have a full range
Perfect.
of options there. So.
Awesome. Now, a new product that I'm very excited about, because I enjoy building with cork, right? Whether you're building a bass rod like this one right here, or you're going to build a saltwater rod, there are now full cork grips that have larger IDs, so the inner diameter, larger IDs than 250. Okay, so 1/4 inch ID was the standard in cork. I don't know if I've got. So that is a 250 ID. This is a probably what, a 7-inch rear spinning grip. Okay, so that you have to ream to get it over what, this is an MB 873 here, probably what, it's a 600 or 874 is probably like a 575 or something.
High fives, yeah.
Okay, so there's a little bit of work involved in this. Now, granted, we can't take all the work out of rod building, but we can certainly try to make it easier where we can. And because cork is so popular, and because we're always trying to make y'all's life easier, we've now got larger ID full cork. Because, you know, if you have like a little 1-inch fighting butt or a foregrip or something like that, easy to ream. You know, you don't have to worry about the taper so much with the reamer. But you start getting 7, 8, 10, you know, you get some full length cork there. Yep.
And along with the larger IDs in these full length grips, we've also introduced in-between sizes that were not available before. So for instance, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm just kind of throwing this out there. If we had a 9-inch and an 11-inch spinning grip, we've now brought in a 10-inch. So we we brought it in between length sizes to bridge that gap.
Because there were a couple grips there that, you went like from 8 to 10 or 9 to 11 or something like that. And, you know, you could adjust your handle length if you wanted to cut the grip or if you wanted to turn your reel seat, you know, like a spinning seat, if you want to turn it, you know, you could gain or lose a little bit there. But
sure.
Yeah, that's another great point in kind of bridging the gap.
Yep.
So, wonderful. Wonderful. Of course, you guys are here to see us, but we also know that you're really here for the giveaways. So, Hunter, what are you giving away tonight?
So for our third place prize for tonight, we're going to do a core rod building startup kit.
Okay.
Which we might show that a little bit later, a little unboxing.
Maybe.
Actually, I think we're going to do a full all-in-one kit. So second place prize for tonight is going to be the advanced rod building startup kit.
Okay. Which is just kind of like a few more items and the advanced hand wrapper, right?
Correct. A little bit upgraded options in there.
Sure.
Grand prize for tonight is we are giving away one of the all-in-one rod building kits. So one of the 6 options we have available, one of the brand new kits that's going to include like all of the equipment and supplies along with a rod and components to go along with it. So
yeah, and literally in one box you can go from open one box and go fishing after you're built. You don't have to shop or buy anything else. It'll be, as it's called, the all-in-one rod building kit.
exactly.
That's the Thunderdome marketing here. Nailed it with that one. All right, so we need to talk about why you would do this. You know, people are like, what do you normally hear, right? You get the question of like, is it that much better? Am I going to catch more fish? Is it cheaper? Is it more expensive? You know, so there's not necessarily myths out there, but there are certain questions that, you know, since you get stopped probably out on the street so much, and
All
they're
the
like,
time.
Hunter,
Yep.
tell me more about rod building. Those are some of the questions. So we need to kind of go through maybe what got you into it, why you would do it. And we've got a couple examples here. We want to talk about it so that, you know, this is not going to be a sham wow commercial, but hopefully we're going to answer some questions that maybe you guys have to, like, you know, go, I don't know if I really need another hobby or if I want to jump into that or whatever. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Take it away.
So it's really hard to sum it up in one, you know, kind of sentence or a couple sentences, but you know, it really comes down to being able to customize the rod to what you may feel is the most important. Whether that is being able to customize your thread wraps, the color of your thread wraps, put certain decals or custom text decals, or, you know, built by Chris Adams, you know, whatever you want to do. That's one aspect that's really popular.
Really going to drive the value of that down.
Oh yeah, yeah, right. The other side of that is, you know, is performance driven. Most guys want to, especially if you're a tournament angler or if you're, you know, just a fishing fanatic that, you know, is out there every weekend. You want to maximize your performance.
Absolutely.
And getting a, you know, a rod off the shelf at, you know, one of the stores, not that those aren't good, but we can do it better by customizing, you know, what components you choose, even starting with a blank choice. You know, you can start with, you know, a standard MHX. You can start with an Elite X and just go right to the top.
Or you could just like dip your toe in it and buy, you know, a CRB rod blank, maybe out of the Color Series.
Sure.
It's just, it works. It's durable. For the money, you literally cannot get a better rod blank.
Sure.
Or we even have talked about the option of people have rods that maybe you broke a guide off of it.
Sure.
Maybe you got a tip that needs repair. Maybe your dog got into the cork handle and you want to repair that. So without having to buy a bunch of stuff, you could also dabble in some rod building / rod repair without just going, all right, I'm going to get the kit and take it away.
Right.
I personally know what got me into it was I would walk through a store and go, okay, you know, I need a 710 for whatever, right? I want a flipping stick or a cranking rod, or I need a 7.3 or whatever I had in my mind. And I would, you know, pick up manufacturer A and I would be like, you know, I would do like everybody else does in Walmart or whatever and go, that's the one right
Give it
there.
the old whip
I don't really
test.
know what we're doing there,
Yeah.
but everybody does it. So, but maybe something would be like, wow, the grip doesn't feel right, or you know, maybe there was an ACSM reel seat on it.
Oh yeah,
And,
can't
you know,
have that,
I don't
right?
fish the ACSM. I'm an ECSM guy. So it would be a situation of, okay, well, I automatically hate this reel seat or this handle, and I'm not going to go out and make hundreds of casts, hours and hours on a Saturday and come home with, you know, like carpal tunnel and just like, well, this rod is painful to fish. I don't even like it. Or you would get one and you'd be like, okay, this is great, perfect. And then you would go home and fish it and you'd realize that this handle length is too long for me. I mean, I always refer back to the jerkbait rod.
Yeah.
Because there's not a ton of cold weather here, but I hate cold weather. So when it's like 72, man, I got a hoodie on and bibs and I got the earmuffs. I'm ready to go. the water temp gets down a little bit and it's time to throw that, Vision 110 out there.
Sure.
You get a handle that's a little too long and you're fishing it and now it's all in your hoodie pocket and you're trying to work it and you're just, I'm getting mad just talking about it.
Sure.
So now you're going to take what might be an 11-inch handle on a 7.3 worm rod where you can really just crank down and get him. Now I might drop all the way back to like a 9.5-inch handle so that when I am working a spook on topwater or if I'm working a jerkbait subsurface, now I'm not all caught up in my bibs and everything like that. So
Sure.
it might sound so ridiculous. And I know at times, because I feel like sometimes I sound ridiculous up here too, but it really matters.
It
like,
does.
To me, when you're out there and it just doesn't feel right or something's hanging up on you or the handle actually hurts your hand, you're like, and you probably spent decent money on it. We have some really good kits and stuff that are not going to break the bank. And I see guys, I think a manufacturer just recently released like an $800 flip it stick.
Crazy.
That's a no from me. But yeah, so anyway,
Yeah.
I got a little carried away, but you can see I get fired up.
You're spot on there. And it's really tough to take a rod off the shelf from a store and kind of retrofit it to, your specifications, whether it be changing up the handle length, switching out the guides to a better performing ring, or even, the common case. And we actually got an example over here that we can show real quick if you'll assist me in holding this.
Oh yeah, this is a good one. We had to dig this one out of the trash.
Yeah, so this is a very common case with a factory rod. We have some, in my opinion, a little bit too high frame of guides there to start off with.
Yeah.
And it continues that same flow of guide rings. They're a little bit oversized. But the moral of the story here is there's not enough guides on this rod blank. So when you deflect this and say, we're doing a real life fishing scenario here.
All right, Steve, you ready for your big close-up?
You're going to set the hook, and we're going to give a little backdrop here. See if we can hit the zoom there. See if this will show up. So you guys can probably barely see that yellow braid is essentially right on top of that rod blank, and it's touching it.
Even the one above it too looks like it's just.
See if I can get, a little bit right there. Bit hard to see, but you can see right in this area right here, it's touching the rod blank.
And I've only got it at like 90 degrees, which we don't recommend going past 90 degrees. But I have been known to go past 90 degrees on a hook setter too. So.
Right. And so
yeah, sorry, Bill Dance Signature Series. But,
sorry, Bill.
Yeah.
Your guide spacing don't cut it though.
Yeah, exactly. Bill might want to send back that Tennessee hat and get one extra guide for that rod or something.
Yeah, I don't think Bill's losing any sleep over that
I
one.
don't think he is either.
But that's the common case that you'll see on rods, factory rods off the shelf, whatever you want to call them, is a with guide spacing in particular is a lack of guides. Typically, you could add one or two more guides in that guide train, get that line off the rod blank, and even some cases I've seen the line go below the rod blank,
Yeah,
which
just
is
rub all off.
that's a big no-no. You need to add a couple more guides in there to get that line above the rod blank and not having it touch, because that's just causing friction. You're losing performance at the end of the day. So.
And in terms of the spinning version of that, we don't have we don't have a gaudy spinning rod that has terrible guide spacing. We do, but I don't have it here on me. What ends up happening with a spinning rod is you create really sharp angles. So if this is clearly an ice blank here, but if you have a blank that is obviously deflected like this and is a spinning rod, you're going to go from guide to guide to guide to guide, around the circle, right? We would like the line to travel in a half circle. We don't want it to travel in an octagon type of a look. And in reality, if you guys have taken a class or met Kurt Baker, Kurt Baker is known for having plenty of guides on his rod, but he does an incredible job at building a rod under outside of normal conditions, we say. So we were talking about this at ICAST, and we were looking at one of his builds, which is always immaculate. But he mentioned something to me because I don't kayak fish, but in Florida and all over, really, there's so many guys that kayak fish.
Yep.
He actually adjusts the spacing on some of his builds if the angler is a kayak angler. Not only in the handle is he adjusting it, but he is also going to bring in 1 or 2 maybe extra guides because you're backing the handle down a little bit, so now you're adding more space out in front of the reel seat, so you're going to probably have to fill in there. But Kurt did a bunch of tests at the house and talked to these kayak guys, and when you are sitting down in the water and you are trying to land a fish, the chance of high sticking a blank gets much greater when you're sitting in a kayak rather than you're fighting a fish in a boat or whatever. And he kind of noticed that if he brought in an extra guide, it in a sense is not going to take the rod blank from out here and the rod blank from out here and pinch it, if that makes sense. So instead of there being an extra guide in here, so making a really nice curve and distributing that load over that curve, if you have a poorly built rod that maybe has a guide here and a guide here, and you've hooped it over a little too much, you're going to break any rod. But if you can have a little bit of margin of error there by bringing in a little bit more specialized guide spacing, and instead of getting that pinch like this, you just get a hoop and you pinch it and it breaks. If you'd have brought in another guide and rearranged it because of the type of fishing you're doing, that was something that Kurt taught me. And it's just because it makes a lot of sense. And he showed me, we deflected a blanket ICAST, but it's just something that I don't do. So it's not a bad idea, something to pass that knowledge along. I just want to make sure that Kurt gets credit for that, because it ain't something that I thought of, but it is brilliant for those kayak anglers out there. And even guys that wade. I know down on the Texas coast, there's plenty of people that wade with a bait caster, trout and redfish and all that stuff. And, you got a chance of, grabbing the rod and reaching like this, and you high stick, and, maybe if you keep some of those little odds and ends in mind, it's not going to be a problem.
Yeah, that's really what it boils down to for me, with custom rod building is you can certainly get that rod off the shelf and kind of, just take it as it is. Or if you really want to up your game, whether it's like, building a rod, with your name on it or your favorite sports team's colors. We got football season coming up.
Yep, this one's got a little like Miami Dolphins / the U on there.
Yep.
So.
It could be a variety of reasons, but a lot of those reasons are somewhat unknown to a person outside of rod building. They take for granted some of the stuff that's available, and it can really, especially if you're even a tournament angler or just a guy that fishes, once or twice a month.
For sure.
These little tweaks in performance can really make you a better angler. So.
Yeah, no doubt. It even like goes all the way down the line that you start really getting a fleet of rods in there. And when I was doing a lot of tournament fishing, I would end up, because I was building a lot of bass rods, a lot of those have a lot of similar components, right? So it's like all the handles were the same, all the reel seats are the same, all the guides are, they start, the first guide is always a 6, then it goes to 5s, and I just run 5s out. I use all the same manufacturer, all the same colors. So then it's like if I get a few breakages, guides pop out, whatever, I step on something, I don't have to carry 100 guides, because I have to be like, well, these 2 guides match that rod blank and these 2 match that one, and so I got to do, I just carry like a handful of size 5s and 2 size 6s, and I can repair any one of, a dozen that I might need. So
good point.
There's so many different like rabbit holes you could go down this, and we're there to greet you and all of them. So anyway, I think that's not too bad. We got a few questions here I think I want to touch on.
Let's hit them.
Yeah. See, this is a good point here. My husband and I just built one for my son for his first rod.
Doesn't get any better than that.
That's it. That's where we're at. Here you go. Just started the last couple weeks. Got one under my belt. Plan many more. Let's see. Tom, he said, I'd love to make my own fly rod. Tom, well, you're in luck because we also, not only do we have an all-in-one kit, but we've got some rod kits, and then we also have a kit that I specifically designed for a 7-weight. That's, if that would fit your bill, you can find that under my signature series rod kits. See, I missed the outfits from the last show.
Gotta wait around till episode 200.
Yeah. Let's touch on this one because you could just go a million ways here. How do you decide on what style of guides to use for a rod? Brent, great question.
Whew, put me on the spot here.
Yeah.
If you are just starting out and you are a little unsure of what to select, for one, I would just start with a rod kit. One of
Okay.
our rod kits that we offer, because for one, there's going to be a guide kit included with that rod kit.
Yep.
And you don't have to worry about selecting this ring, this brand.
For sure.
As long as you are kind of familiar with which rod blank to select, what kind of technique you're going to be fishing this with,
Yeah.
there's going to be guides included with that rod kit.
Okay.
Beyond that, once you get that rod kit and build it and kind of, get a little more familiar with the guide selection that's out there, you can kind of branch off and, of course, you can start with guide kits themselves.
Yeah.
And then from there, you can start building your own guide trains. To me, it's kind of progression. You can't just start off right off the bat and go and select, individual Fuji guides or CRB guides. And,
Yeah.
it's difficult to select sizes based on rod lengths and actions and power. It's difficult. How many running guides do I need?
Sure.
Start with a rod kit that has a guide kit included, or just buy a guide kit, from CRB. We have tons of Fuji kits available.
Yeah.
One of those two, you can't go wrong with that. So.
Yeah, exactly. And Brent, too, have a look on the website under the resources tab because that can help guide you in terms of, okay, we got spinning or casting. We know that. That's pretty, I would venture to say that is obviously number one. And then we're also going to go, okay, I've got a 7.3 heavy. Let me check. Okay, they've got spacing for a 7.3. Looks like I need X number of guides. Let me check. Oh, do they have a kit for that? Yeah. Oh, they have a kit for that. Well, I was thinking of maybe like really making this one special and up in the game, maybe, do a titanium or doing something that the kit doesn't offer. Because obviously there's not kits for everything. But now you at least have a little bit of a guide to guides of this is about where the spacing is going to be. And remember that it's not the end all be all. That's to get you going and then do your stack deflection. But it'll also help you pick, if you're first starting, you might well, do I need 8? Do I need 15? How many do I need? So if you also reference some of the spacing charts, even before you buy, it will give you a really, really good idea of how many you need to go in and buy. Because nobody wants to buy it and then be like, oh, I just need one more. Darn it.
Yep.
So, yeah. And we always recommend if you've got, a size 6 and a bunch of 5s and you think you need 12, just order one extra. You might drop one in the carpet or you might need one in the future.
Yep.
So
Buy
it
2
makes it
extra.
easy. Yeah, exactly. Buy 2 extra. There you go. How about this? Nick, know of any tournament anglers that only fish custom rods?
Yeah, quite a few.
Yeah, and Nick, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag on some of these guys, and I'm not just saying this because they fish our products, but there are a lot of guys out there that have a logo on their jersey, but have a handful of custom rods on the front deck of that boat. And we kind of met Terry Scroggins because he was having, issues with what he was fishing with and he wanted a different guide train. And he's been known to be like a tinkerer, building his own lures and pouring his own plastics and wrapping guides. And at one point he just had enough. And he's like, well, if I'm going and rewrapping all these guides, why don't I just start with a blank and a handle too? What's the extra 20 minutes? And then I can have something that I really like. And then, I don't know, 5-6 years later or something, we're he was here, yesterday? Talking about picking some stuff up so he can build for the hurricane. So there's a lot more guys, Nick, than you would think. And it starts with them wanting something very specific.
Right.
And I know a few years ago, you and me and your dad had a hand in the flipping sticks, the FP series. There were a lot of MHX flipping sticks floating around out there with no decals on them. I can promise you that for a fact, because I built some of them. But sometimes it just depends on exactly what you need. A lot of people have a pretty good 7-foot medium heavy.
Sure.
But then, boy, it really starts getting fine tooth when you're fishing for $100,000, or just $100 in the fruit jar tournament. So, let's see. See, like Eddie said, I make all of my own baits, thinking of making my own rods too for the same reason. Make my baits, quality, cost, and he gets what he wants. And honestly, even if it was $10 more, I would still build it because it's exactly what I wanted. So, 90 days till ice season here in Minnesota.
Ooh.
As my grandmother would say, bless your heart. Oh my goodness.
Bless your heart.
I've been up there. It's fun, but I'm not living up there, that's for sure. All right. The hurricane's here.
Heads up.
Tim, if you're a veteran and get a military discount on your orders, can you still use your mud bucks? I'm sure you can. I am sure you can. So, let's see. I kind of like this one. Robert, what blank would you recommend for an 80 to 130 series rod for shark fishing? So, we did a video, Uncle Phil, that was 2 years ago. We shark fished in Stewart. We were testing the X-Fighters. Mm-hmm. And I'll have to go back and look at that blank. But, Robert, if you send me an email at live@mudhole.com, I will get you some more information. I'll get you the exact one. But we built what felt like an indestructible shark rod and had an 80 wide on it with 850 of 80 pound. And I mean, we put steel cable and did all kind of stuff. So Steve had to get in the surf and wrestle the shark at the end and all that stuff, but he was digging it. You were pretty new then too, weren't you?
It was 3 years ago.
Was it 3 years ago? All right, 3 years ago it is. That was like, you were pretty, that we put the bait out with the drone. Yeah, that's pretty wild. Let's see. Bob, I'm glad you're building 101 for newbies. No problem. No problem at all. Trying to get through here, guys. Sorry.
Looks like you got a lot of questions over there. It's
Yeah,
good.
I like
it's
it.
good.
I'm just trying to make sure that this is a good here. I might have to fly down on a weekend to take a class and learn from the best. Jeremiah, I'm serious. If you haven't done one, or if you haven't done one here, to come here to the headquarters and go downstairs in the education center, do the class, be able to put your hands on all different types of components and guides and go, okay, this is really what an MB843 feels like. This is what this carbon feels like. Here's this guide. Here are those guides. Are those titanium guides worth it? You can put your hands on it. It really is worth it, and they are the best. They really are. We have a heck of a team. And if you're looking for a class schedule, mudhole.com/classes. I know the guys will put a link up in there for sure. This is a pretty good question. Will it hurt to have too many guides?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely it would.
So, where I would say that it would hurt to have too many guides, one, it looks a little ridiculous. Oh yeah, give me that thing.
Hey,
Is
we
this-
just happen to
is
have
this
one here.
Jake's TikTok.
It's like this is pre-planned or
This
something.
is like the quadruple spiral wrap here.
The 360.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really know what did Jake build this one? I mean, I know that this is, but yeah. Maybe I could get whatever he was on when he was building this
that's
guy.
great. That's a great
So-
shot there.
Jake, what were you taking when you built this? Just water, right? Just
water.
staying hydrated.
Good old American air.
That's it. So anyway, this is obviously a ridiculous example of having too many guides. But remember, the guide frame doesn't really weigh all that much. It's the ceramic. So as you're continuing to add guides, there is an absolute mark where it's like, diminishing returns.
Yep.
You're going to be like, okay, I need 12. Well, what about 13? I mean, I know your dad's never going to run 13 rods, 13 guides on a rod. That's for sure. But
never 13.
If you're like, well, maybe 13, maybe 14, it starts to get a little ridiculous, because when using static deflection, it will tell you, like, probably need one more guide, or you put another guide in there, or you're like, oh, maybe 2 guides, and you're like, oh, okay, that's a little much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't need that when you use static deflection. So, Brian, yeah, I mean, it's not going to like kill the rod blank, or it's not going to blow it up, or it's not going to whatever to have too many guides, but I would venture to say, of all of the fishing rods I've seen on Earth, like 0.5%, this one included, has had too many guides. So usually it's like a 7.5 footer and it's got 6 guides, like old Bill Vance edition over there. But so yeah, you'll come to a point where there's too many, but it's really not that, Let's see. I'm not quite sure, because this is a saved question and it was a while ago. Would that be the same for a fly rod? I'm not quite sure where you're going with that. Maybe we're talking about guides. If we're talking about guides on a fly rod, I'll just throw this kind of general statement out there. You're trying to pick guides for a fly rod. You're looking at the length of the rod plus 1. So not all, but many fly rods are 9 footers. Yep. Doesn't matter what weight. Can be a 2 weight, can be a 10 weight. If it's a 9 footer, you're more than likely going to plan on 10 guides. So 9 feet plus 1, 10 guides. So I'm not sure if that was the question there, but since we were talking about guides, somebody said there, what about over guiding a rod? Chieflin getting a ban from the hurricane now. Ooh. So here's a good one. Russ was diagnosed with cancer. Sorry to hear that. Want to get my 4 kids a rod with their names on it. Was told a crazy amount from a local builder. Went to Mudhole, watched videos, and I was off. Now I'm deep in the addiction. Well, fantastic, Russ. We're wishing you the best, man.
Awesome.
And glad you made it here. We love it. How about this one? When do you use a high frame spinning guide?
Anytime I build a spinning rod. Is that the right answer?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, hold on.
Keep going.
I'm just kidding. I'm not really kidding, but in all reality, I am definitely an advocate for high frame spinning guides. The main reason for that is you can downsize, you can go to a smaller ring and achieve the same height.
Yes.
For instance, if you would typically use a standard size 25 or size 30 spinning guide that's not a high frame, like this guy right here.
That's like almost, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's like a concept, usually what we refer to as concept spinning guide. That's a 25 or a 30. I can accomplish the same height in a size 20 high frame, or even a size 16 high frame sometimes. So what that does is, in reference to your spinning reel and the line coming off of that reel, you're going to be able to kind of choke down that line using the smaller ring diameter, and the goal is to get that line as straight as possible, moving out to the tip and beyond. Yeah. So that's the reason I use high frames, and it's a very common guide that you'll see on spinning rods these days, whether it's a ceramic ring or even the CRB SSRs with the
no ring.
The no ring, the stainless steel rings.
Yep.
But yes, I'm a big advocate of high frame spinning guides.
And I'm the same way. And just as you had mentioned, getting it choked down and getting it out, remember what I said earlier too, most of the guide weight is in the ceramic. So if you've got a 30, not only do you have a wider area, it is completely useless because you're just using a bigger ring to get a little height
Sure.
so that it's not just up here in the top and then you got all this extra space, but all that extra ceramic is adding weight. So
Great point.
not only what you said, but I also,
Yeah,
I'm using
that's-
high frames, period, the end. But yeah, so you got a couple different options there. Adam, headed to the Keys this winter, is the TR 843 heavy enough as a do-all, or should I go up a power or two? Adam, that TR 843 is actually the like an SJ and an MB kind of mixed. That 843 is pretty stout.
It is.
I do not believe that you need to go up a power or two unless you're going to do like, I mean, I know you said do all, but obviously to like catch a small trout and then go catch a 100-pound shark, we might have a little bit of an issue there. But if you're going to be throwing like really light lures, you might want to go down a power. But if you're going to be kind of just walking around and fishing with lures or bait and hoping what bites, you know, you might catch a pretty decent shark. You might catch a cutie. You might catch a bonefish. You might jump a tarpon. You don't know. The 843 I've got a lot of confidence in just because I know where that blank was developed from, and you could just do a lot with it. What you wouldn't want to do is go down there, you know, with a dainty rod and then be like, well, I really wish I could have, you know. But I don't think you need to go up any more than a TR 843 there for about as all around as you can do. All right, cool. We need to give something away.
Let's do it.
Give something away.
So, first giveaway of the night. This is going to be third place prize. We're going to do the core startup kit. So this is going to have the core wrapper. It's going to have all of the supplies that you need: the Pro Coat, the Pro Paste, all the little accessory items, along with a rod dryer and all that good stuff, to build your first rod. So let's go ahead and cue that up. So
let's get one real hard to pronounce tonight.
Yeah, love that, right?
And of course, if Sean Chaney or Mudhole gets picked, we'll throw in a.
Oh, love it. All right, Gary Olson.
Yeah.
Easy one there out of YouTube.
Yeah, fantastic.
Nice job, Gary.
Love it. Live at mudhole.com is how you get that over to us so that we can get your information and get that headed out your way. I know the answer to this question, Hunter. Ralph has a question here. Will all of American Tackle's inventory be included with yours?
Yeah.
I mean, we sold so many of American Tackle products as it was. But yeah, everything's going to be under this one roof.
Under one roof. And that obviously is a huge advantage to be able to, for inventory's sake, to be able to process orders, get them out the door faster.
Yep.
Like I said earlier, it's nothing but
It's
benefits
awesome.
coming from this. So
Yeah. And we used to fish with some of the American Tackle guys, so
Yeah.
it's kind of nice having them around, It's real good. Let's see. Christopher, what fly rod blank do you recommend for bull redfish? I am more than likely going to throw a 10 at a bull redfish for a couple reasons. If you're fishing in Louisiana, going to Louisiana, if you live in Louisiana, you're going to be throwing a lot larger flies at those bigger fish. A lot of time you're throwing topwater stuff, and even might have to throw a specific taper on your 10 weight that in reality is also overlined. I don't love overlining fly blanks, but sometimes in the taper or sometimes when you're throwing a big, like a jointed swim bait style fly, like a Game Changer, or you're throwing like a pole dancer, which is, got a popper on it and it moves a lot of water, it does things like that. You're gonna have to get after it with something like a 10 weight. So the 10 is something that you could throw a lot. It's not as tiring as an 11, and it's a lot more nimble than an 11, but it's got a little more in the butt section than a 9 weight does. So I'm probably gonna go with a 10, but yep. All right, Hunter man.
okay. So let's assume
Yes.
that you want to get into rod building.
I think we can assume that most people want to get into rod building.
Everybody,
Everybody.
right? Got
All
to. We got to show off one of these all-in-one fly kits,
We'll get
or
it up
not fly kits, all-in-one rod building kits.
That just also so happens to be a fly kit.
That also is a fly kit. So I just happen to have one over
Get it
here.
up here.
Oh, let's put this on the table here.
So this is how it comes? Or is this just in a box?
More or less.
Okay.
We'll put some stickers on here, fancy it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But for the fly kit and the ice kit, this is the box you're going to be getting in.
That's the one, huh?
And this thing is packed full
All right, we'll get it
of
here.
good stuff.
All right, so core hand wrapper.
Core hand wrapper.
You've seen that right here. This is something that you can take on the road with you. This is excellent for a new builder, no matter the age.
Yep.
But the kids have a really great time with this. If they want it like in their room, doesn't take up a lot of space. You know, you don't have to do this on grandma's dining room table. It's good. It is not that expensive, and of course, if you get it with a kit, it comes in there anyway. So, what else you got?
All right.
What, you already put the box down?
Yeah, you
Too
know,
much to handle?
it's in my way. You know.
All right, come on.
All right.
What you got next?
Rod dryer.
Okay.
Got to have a rod dryer, right?
RDS.
We have the infamous alcohol burner,
Oh yeah,
which
I know.
we'll leave that up to interpretation, but is a very useful tool.
That's it. All right, so now for the good stuff.
Now for the good stuff. And you know what? Let's do this first. We got to have a blank, right?
Gotta have blank.
So there's our CRB ICF 905-4.
Okay.
This is a 9-foot 5-weight 4-piece in gloss black,
Perfect.
which is a 5-weight 9-footer 4-piece. I mean, you can't get more versatile all around for a fly rod.
There's
So
probably more 9-foot 5 weights sold in the world than probably any other ones.
yep,
So
nailed it.
that's why I put it in there.
We got 3 reamers here.
All
so
right.
these are all individually wrapped. You're gonna get the nice bundle there. Now these are specific for this kit. So these are a little bit more specific sizes that are gonna work with your cork grip that we're gonna look at here in a minute.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you're getting a full set that you don't need.
Yeah, you get the sizes that are
You're getting
specific for
the
this
sizes
kit.
that you need.
Yep, and of
All
course
right.
you can reuse these on later down the road as well for other
Yes, of
rod
course.
builds. All right, so let's do this here. We have our Pro Paste.
Okay.
Got to have that for your handle and your reel seat area.
Got it.
We have our Pro Coat rod finish.
All right.
So you got to have that for your guide wraps. So we got that.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, Pro Paste is for gluing handles, gluing reel seats. You know, if we're looking at a fly kit, all of this that you see is being bonded to this rod blank using Pro Paste. 50-50 mix, get you some little stir sticks, mix it on, cut the box up that the box came in, cut it in little cardboard squares and reuse it over the course of your rod building career. That's what Pro Paste is for. Pro Coat, which is this. Now these are in the graduated syringes. You do not need to shoot all of the Pro Coat out of each syringe here. We recommend, because this is a 12 ml syringe each, so you get 24 mLs. We usually recommend doing 3 and 3, and this has to be really exact. Pro Paste, not so much. The reason these are in graduated syringes is to use the graduation lines. So shoot 3 mLs of each into your mixing cup with your stirrer sticks and off you go. You really should have enough to do 4 rods here. So that's why we have 4 brushes, 4 cups, and 4 sticks. So your Pro Coat is going to be over your thread wraps. So again, I'm sorry if, you know, there's 442 people in here tonight, which I couldn't be more excited about. And I'm sorry if a lot of y'all already know this, but hopefully there's a lot of people out there that do not. So that's why we're rehashing a little bit of what Pro Coat and what Pro Paste are. All right, what else you got?
Got to have some guides.
Okay.
So
Oh, this is the new packaging.
conveniently packaged in,
I like
in your full guide kit there. Obviously, this is specific to the rod blank, so there's no guesswork.
Right.
You can hit the QR code on the back there with your phone.
Yep.
That's going to take you to guide spacing, again, that is specific for this blank.
Perfect.
Take all the guesswork out. Moving on.
Yep.
Got to have a cork grip to go with your fly rod. So we got that there.
Uh-huh.
Stay. Got to have a real seat to go with that. So we have a nice rosewood
We're
insert.
trying to give Steve a hard time tonight.
Rosewood
Making him
insert
chase us around a little.
fly,
Okay.
fly seat.
Yep.
Got to
I like
have
it.
that. A few
These
other
are actually really nice.
yeah.
They have like good weight to them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to worry about like having to glue unnecessary parts because all the hoods and stuff aren't,
Mm-hmm.
it's nice. I really like it. And this is an inletted seat. So if you notice the hole down here, that's not the overall inner diameter because you can just see the 200 in there. But for those that are doing fly stuff, Steve, stay with me. Hang on, buddy. So we got an inlet, right? It fits down in there.
Beep. Slick.
As you know, us fly guys, we got to keep it neat and clean. There you go. So that's what it is there for. Sweet.
Bingo.
All right. He's really using the zoom tonight. What is that? He figured if he's going to use all the X's, he's going to use them all right there. The 10X zoom. Could you tell my heartbeat there, Steve? Or maybe check me for blood clots or something? All right, cool. What else we got?
Got to have a tip to go with your fly
got a tip
rod.
top.
Yep.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Little tip top here.
That's going to do it. Well, got a winding check too. Got to have that.
Yes. A properly sized winding check
Yes.
at that.
Yes.
All right.
To finish up some of our supplies, we throw in three packages of guide tubing. These are in different sizing, but
So a lifetime supply of guide tubing.
you got it.
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
that's going to cover you for quite a while in the guide tubing department.
So this is GT0, GT1, and GT2. For those that do not know about guide tubing, do we have any loose guide tubing? It's all right. So what we do with the guide tubing, we take and unravel this. It looks like there's about 100 foot in here, but there's not. Take the guide tubing and you cut little donuts with your, okay, cool. Coming in, mailbag here. All right, Steve, we're gonna test the zoom here. Come down here on the table with me. So here's the guide tubing, right? Take a razor blade. And we're going to cut little donuts. Like this, right? Now we got little donuts like that. And then you'll go to your rod blank and you'll get this guy. Oh, you thought I was going back on the table. There it is. So that's your guide on your rod with the guide tubing. That's why we do multiple sizes, because you got the third section down here, and then the tip-top section is, much thinner. So, all right, what else you got?
We got some tip-top adhesive.
Okay, perfect.
Very good.
High temp
High temp.
for those Florida summers.
We got some masking tape. Always good to have. You can use it for arbors.
Oh, can you use it for arbors?
I mean, you can if you want to.
You can use masking tape for arbors.
Yeah.
For those that have not been here for all 101 episodes, I'm a big tape arbor guy. So you guys can argue amongst yourselves about that. But yeah, tape arbors, which is great because the inner diameter of your fly seat is going to be considerably different than the outer diameter of your fly blank. It might be a lot, it might be a little, but you're going to need to arbor it, and the tape arbor only makes sure that it's centered. It's not a structural thing. Make sure it's centered, and the Pro Paste takes care of the rest.
There you go.
Okay?
Couple spools of thread. We got a black, a blue, and then a silver metallic.
Perfect. Got to have a little trim.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then last but not.
Now, is this this is a colors may vary thing?
Yes, to an extent. We're pretty good on stock right now, so for the most part,
Sure.
If
It's
you guys,
not like we won't give you thread.
Yes.
It's just like the blue might be a lighter blue.
or red,
Or red,
green,
or green.
might
Okay.
vary sometimes.
Yeah, I just, I like to tell people that sometimes because,
Yep. Great point.
yeah. Or if you really, 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 really got to have this color blue, just order that color blue with the kit, and then you know you'll get it.
Exactly.
Sweet.
Finish it up, we got 10 pack of razor blades, always good to have, whether
Love it.
you're cutting, your tag ends of your guide wraps.
Or your guide tubing.
Or your guide tubing. Burnishing tool, pretty self-explanatory there. And a China marker.
Perfect.
To make your marks for your guide spacing, mock up your
Sweet.
your handle and your reel seat or your cork grip. Yeah, so that is the full all-in-one kit for the fly rod.
Yeah.
If you order a spinning or a casting or even an ice all-in-one kit, the supplies that are featured here, equipment and supplies, are going to be very, very similar, if not the exact same.
Okay.
The only difference between each kit is going to be mainly the rod and the components that you get with it.
Yeah.
So, if you get a spinning kit or all-in-one kit, obviously you're going to get components that are geared towards spinning rod. And then for our ice viewers, we have the all-in-one kit that actually is
This is a good one because it's unique. Yes.
There are 3 ice rod builds included in the ice all-in-one kit.
Yeah.
It's not just one rod build. So just be aware of that. It's 3 full rods that you're going to build.
Yeah. There's a power noodle and then 2 carbons.
I think so. Yep.
Like a 28 and a 32, I think.
Yep.
That's all on the list of
Yep.
stuff that's included with it. But yeah, the ice kit's a good one because then you get 3.
Yep. So prices. We got to talk prices real quick.
Got to talk about money.
These kits are very discounted. We got these at a really good price. The fly rod one is I think the most expensive. It's going to be around off the top of my head, it's in the $250, $260 range, I believe.
Okay.
The spinning and casting ones are in the like $215, $220 range.
Yeah.
So
Usually that's because like the seat with the wood insert
It
and
is.
your grips for the fly are usually a little more
expensive.
Whereas like on spinning, if you've got smaller split grip cork and you got a graphite seat, the graphite seat is like a $5 seat
Right.
instead of a $20 seat.
Yep.
So a little bit of that is really just, like you said, in the components that are based specifically for the kit.
Yep.
That's a good point. Really
So
good point.
yeah, you're getting all the supplies, all the equipment, and at least 1 rod to build. If you're getting the ice kit, you're getting 3.
Yeah.
For a price anywhere from $215, $220 upwards of $250, $260. So you really can't beat that price. It's going to be hard to beat that anywhere else, to get all the equipment and tools plus a rod to build. So.
Right. Yep. Cool.
Yep.
You want to, so the fly kit is $269.99.
There we go.
The ice kit is
$250.
$250. Sweet. Now the unique part about the classes too, let's touch on that. Because if you really want to get into this, and I know we sound like a little bit of a broken record here, and I'm not hyping the classes up because like I'm involved in them, because I'm not. I've been to one, and they're awesome. I went to the Dallas one years ago, took some photos and helped out a little bit. But the team that does the classes is awesome. I don't know, what's the price on the classes now? Is it $249? So we just talked about what one of these rod kits cost, right? Mm-hmm. So the ice was $250 and the fly was $269 and whatever. So when you go $200, all right, so a class is $200. It's a 2-day class if you're doing it in person. Keep in mind, we have the online remote learning style as well. They're equally as great. But with these classes, we're doing what? Hand wrapper?
You essentially get all the basics, some version of this startup kit.
Yeah.
Plus, you
build the rod.
You build the rod at the
with
class.
Instruction.
With on-hand instruction.
Somebody leaning over you if you want, or somebody like, show me how to do that again. Okay, just like that. Yep. Perfect. And then you go home with a fully built fishing rod that you could literally fish on Sunday afternoon after you leave the class. And you learn about a bunch of other advanced techniques on Sunday as well. Plus, you've got options to like buy other cool stuff while you're there. If you want to like get a couple extra rod dryers, or you want to, you know, we got a little mobile shop going on there too. So you really, if you do the classes, you're going to get 2 full days of instruction for free, and pretty much a rod kit that then you'll go home with and fish. I mean, I don't know.
Let's be honest. It's
pretty good.
It's a pretty good deal.
It's pretty good. So, again, if you want to do the classes, I'd say do the classes. So, now, in addition to the classes, we have a number of other resources. We've got a heck of a YouTube channel. If you're a TikToker, you've seen Jake. Jake's got a really, really good mix of funny stuff, educational stuff, cool products coming out. So whereas maybe you wouldn't think of, oh, TikTok is a resource or educational or helpful, it's pretty darn good. Jake does a really good job of that. So, I mean, I'm not personally on it, but if you are, have a look at it, because there's some rod building stuff on TikTok too. It's not just dancing. I think Jake dances a little bit, but it's a mix of rod building and some hair stuff, you know. And of course, the big one really for us is the Facebook group. So for those that have been involved with the Mudhole Live Rod Builders Workshop, do we remember how many we got going on in that thing now? I mean,
mid-30s?
I think when we stopped counting, it was like 30,000. And that was maybe at the beginning of the year. So there's a lot of people in there. And yes, we created it, and yes, we're in there a little bit. But I'm going to be honest, the reason that it is so cool is because of the people that are in it. Not because we manage it, and not because we run it, or not because we do anything like that. It's the 35,000 people that are in it is what it is. So if you're not on Facebook, I get it. But if you are on Facebook, go to the Mudhole Live's Rod Builders Workshop. It's the best. It's the biggest. It's the best. It's the Rod Builders Workshop. So anyway, let me get for a few questions here real quick before we.
One thing I want to add on the resources.
Please.
I definitely got to push the classes. That's the guy mentioned earlier. You know, coming in, especially if you want to come to Oviedo and do the class here.
Yeah.
You cannot beat it. You know, if you're a person that kind of wants that hands-on experience, if you're not a good, you know, learner through, you know, a website or a YouTube page, and you want that hands-on instruction, you cannot beat a rod building class. The other resource that's really, really important to mention is our customer service and tech representatives for Mudhole, which are a call away. You know, whether it's a guide spacing question, how to set up your core hand wrapper or your advanced hand wrapper, those guys are extremely knowledgeable. They'll get you the help that you need. And
well, here's the question. Are you planning to bring back the traveling classes in cities across the country?
We already have.
We're doing it.
Yeah,
Don't we have like a Houston or something coming up soon? Or was that recently?
We just wrapped up a Mobile class in Alabama.
Maybe it was Mobile.
Mobile. I'm not for sure of the schedule for the rest of the year, but I know we are back to traveling.
Oh, yeah. But we've been back to traveling for a little bit. Keep going. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Just saw it.
But yeah, no, just shout out to like I said, the customer service reps. Any and all questions. It could be an equipment or, hey, where do I start? What do I buy?
Yeah.
Those guys can point you in the right direction, you know, with just a phone call away. So.
Perfect. And since I saw this one, Bob, I'm gonna give me the one here that you've got with the thread, because he said, "What is static deflection?" Can I go to the board? Are we okay? Are we set up to go to the board? Yeah? Steve? Perfect. All right, so real quick, Bob, I'm going to give you the very, 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 very short version of static deflection, and then we can kind of go from there, because it is important, and everybody should know at least a little bit about this, okay? All right, so here we go. Follow me around. Steve, I'm really throwing you for a loop tonight, buddy. I figured I had to show everybody that I had pants on tonight and not shorts.
Yeah, thank God, right?
Yeah, right? All right, there we are. Cool. All right, Bob. CRB deflection chart. What we use this for is to compare two different rod blanks. You can put two in here side by side. You can compare them. Or we also check guide spacing. So when we're talking about static deflection, we're going to take and we're going to deflect this rod blank with weights, or you can tie it off. Thanks for leaving me plenty of Power Pro here, Hunter.
It just happened that way. You know, I'm
Goodness.
sorry.
Am I walking out of frame here?
Keep you on your toes.
Sorry, the camera people weren't ready for this one, but they're doing a heck of a job. All right, this is a static deflection, right? This is how we can look here and go, okay, this isn't too bad, this isn't too bad, this is really bad, this is worse, that's not too bad. So we also do not want to take and just wrench this rod blank underneath itself. We go to about 90 degrees, so this being 0, this being 90, right? You get in a math lesson too. So this is where you're going to look when you put your guides on with your guide tubing or tape, or if you want to wrap them and check it one more time before you put finish on it. This is your static deflection. If I was deflecting this from my mud hole kit, first of all, we would have the proper amount of guides in this, so it wouldn't be a mud hole kit. But if we're doing this and we're going to send this back to Bill Dance with the proper amount of guides, we're then going to add in a couple guides in here, and we're going to shift some things around to then make sure that you have the right amount of guides and spaced properly. So we'll probably ask for like a Tennessee hat and trade or something like that, but we'll get it done. So anyway, that is the very, very short version, Bob, of static deflection. We have done other episodes on this. I can guarantee you there will probably be, episode 125 on static deflection at some point, but that's it. Yeah, Cade, anytime you want to come by to the penthouse, we'll get you on TV. Saw Cade lunch in here, so. All right, anyway, let's see. This is a really good recommendation, Tom. I've got an L842, and it's an awesome rod for reds. The L842 is great. It comes out of the light inshore. It's great for redfish because not only is it a 7-footer, but it also is more on the, what most would consider an inshore style action, which is a little bit more moderate fast, not so fast. So, Kevin, what's your method to make sure the guides line up straight? Do we have one in here?
What's that?
The reel seat to line up your guides. Show this real quick.
So this is typically a 2-piece set, but I'm missing the other one. But this is the CRB Pro. So you can use this as a reel seat spacer.
Yep.
And also an alignment tool.
Guide alignment
right?
tool.
So
Yep.
your 2 feet go in the reel seat, and then the alignment sight here at the top is for you to look down, line up your guides, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. And then if you don't have one of those, I also just do the old one eye shut, look down it, but this is much more accurate and helpful to that. Andrew Barfield, anything special that one should pay attention to when building fly rods? Andrew, honestly, you're going to glue your reel seat just like you would glue up a spinning reel seat. You're going to glue your cork handle on just like you're going to glue any other cork on. Needs to be reamed properly. With almost every fly rod on earth, it's going to be a multi-piece. Mm-hmm. You're going to have ferrule wraps. We do have a tool to help you with that. So you can actually multi-piece it together to line everything up, and then you can pull your sections apart. And we have a blank extension tool that will fit in those, and you can put in your wrapper. But outside of that, it's all the same. You might add a ferrule wrap, but you're going to be wrapping guides, finishing guides, and doing everything honestly the same. So please do not worry about building a fly rod.
Most, in my opinion, most multi-piece rods are actually easier to build than one piece. Because, why would you want to mess with a 1-piece 7-foot rod when it could be, a 3-piece multi-section? So smaller sections make it easier.
Matthew, what blank do you recommend for big snook fishing from a pier? Well, Matthew, I'm glad you asked. We have a Signature Series rod kit. The little mullet and the big mullet, that's the Jake Hutchinson Signature Series rod kits. They will put the link in there. But depending on the size of the mullet that you want to attack, get the little mullet, and that's L-I-L, mullet.
Lil.
My mic's not cutting out there. It's little mullet, or isn't it little mullet and big mullet?
Just mullet.
Or just mullet?
Just mullet.
So we don't have a big mullet yet?
Not yet.
There's something to shoot for, Jake. Get you a big mullet. Well, I'll call it big mullet then. How about that? So get you the mullet or the little mullet. Matthew, those are specifically designed to fish from the beach, fish from the pier, fish from the jetties, and, battle it out with a big snook that you really need to pull on. Oh, this is fun. Tomahawk fishing. What's going on with Sage blanks? I heard they stopped making them.
That's not entirely true.
Right.
They're a little
That's
bit.
why I want to make sure we clear this up.
They're a little bit harder to get than they have been in the years past, but we're trying to work through that and get some Sage blanks in here. They're just coming less frequently. I'll say that.
Yeah, exactly. And was there going to be an adjustment in tip sections and stuff?
Yeah, so most of the new, especially the new series that they've come out with, which is like, the R8
The R8,
Core,
yep.
the R8 Salt,
Yep.
those now all come with an additional tip section.
Okay.
In turn, you're also seeing a little bit higher
I was going
price.
to say, so if you see a price increase, keep in mind there's 2 tip sections.
Yep. So, just hypothetically, if you ever have any trouble down the road with a tip section,
Yeah.
you have a backup that you can build and, still go out and fish.
Yeah, exactly. So we do not have, the official word that they have stopped making them. They have not given official word that they have stopped making them, but as you said, I think they were making sure that they had their new R8 Core and R8 Salt built rods out and rolling and everything like that. So, all right, there you go, Ralph Jones. The little mullet is recommended. It finished one last month. Let's see. This is a good one. This is tough. Bill Leary Jr., what if you only need to do one guide? What is the least amount of Pro Coat you can mix? So, in my experience, it's not an issue of how little or how much you can mix that's going to say like, well, it's only going to work if it's 1 ml and 1 ml. It's not that. It has more to do with the container that you're putting it in, and you're having to stir it and properly mix it. I worry that if guys try to mix like a half of an ml or 1 ml, you're not really going to be able to mix it. And because there's not enough finish in the cup, you're going to be like just folding bubbles, and it's just going to be kind of a mess. So I hate to say like, hey, you just got to get a big thing of finish, but that's not necessarily the case. Bill, hopefully that, you're building a bunch of rods and you're not so worried about burning through 2 mLs of finish just to do one guide. But
yeah, that's what I would say, at least two
Yeah.
mLs per side.
if I was doing I would buy that PK
Yeah.
24 ml, right? That's the part number, right?
Yep.
I would get this guy because if you only need to do one guide and you've either broken that guide or having to replace it, there's probably a good chance you're going to do it again. We all do it, so I'm not picking on you, Bill. But
Yep.
if you get that one, you've got some finish, you've got multiple cups, multiple brushes, multiple stir sticks, and then it's a good price. It's not big giant bottles, and then you also got to buy 10 brushes and 10 cups and just get that little.
It's already in the syringes. It makes it so easy.
It's just
Yeah.
super, super easy.
I would definitely, 1 ml of each side is really cutting it. I would say at least 2.
Yeah.
In theory, 3 is always
Yeah.
the absolute, not the absolute minimum, but that's
For
the
sure.
recommended.
For sure. This is a good one here. Roughly how much time does it take to build your typical rod start to finish?
This is always a tough question because there's dry time in there. I would say hands-on,
Excluding drying.
excluding the drying time for your pro pace and your handle section, excluding the dry time for your thread finish, on your guide wraps.
Yeah.
This is going to vary. I'm going to say, you're definitely somewhere between probably 1 to 2 hours. I don't think that's too far out of the question.
Yeah.
Even for a new builder, you might be in like the 2 to 4 hour range.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, a 7-foot rod with maybe 9 or 10 guides, probably in the 1 to 2 hour range.
Yeah.
If that.
I'm gonna tell you. I am not somebody that is going to lie to the folks at home here. And I agree with you. But remember, it will get shorter every single time you do it.
True.
I think that it took me 3.5 or so hours to do my first one. Now, I am overly picky. And some of you guys might laugh at that because when you see me build fishing rods, it's usually like black or polished guides with black thread, with no fancy stuff and stuff like that. But I'm meticulous on the guide spacing and the way that the handle looks and that all the little drips and marks and stuff are cleaned out. So I believe, and this is almost 10 years ago, I would say I went probably 3.5 hours on the first one, excluding all the dry time. I can now do it, excluding drying time, probably in an hour.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's got to be promising, right? Like you sit down and you do your first one, you're like, 4 hours of this, I don't know about that. Just think more than likely you're going to cut it down by a third the more you do it. And it didn't take me 10 years to get down to 1 hour. It really took me a very short period of time to go from 3.5 hours to an hour and a half, honestly. That was really, really short. And then once you narrow it down from there, and of course, we're helping you guys with kits and we're helping you with larger inner diameter cork and things like that, you're going to shorten all your time.
Exactly.
So,
and a lot of that time can be spent, setting up your rod build, whether it be in the guide spacing. And I don't mean even like being meticulous about static deflection and all that, because in theory, you're buying probably a kit that's going to give you the right amount of guides, etc. It's more so going through making your China marks, making sure you have your, whether you use tape or China marker for making your marks on your handle section and laying out where your reel seat's going to fall, doing that dry fit. A lot of your time can be spent doing that. And in the beginning, you can watch all the YouTube videos and everything and have a grasp of the knowledge, but let's be honest, there's a learning curve here. Mm-hmm. And again, your first rod build, it might take you 6 hours.
Sure.
But then your second rod build might be 3 hours.
You might just cut it in half like bang.
Yeah, exactly. So each one progressively gets easier and easier, and you're going to learn, you're going to make a few mistakes on your first rod build, but then on your second rod build, you're going to have 10 tips that you learned from your first one to make the second one easier. So there is a learning curve, but that curve can be drastically reduced just within 3 rod builds.
Absolutely.
So don't give up on it after your first one.
No, don't do that. How important is it to match your reel to the rod you are building?
It's definitely recommended, but not crucial.
Yeah, so that spinning rod that we had, this is a Daiwa BG 2500.
Right. Which one do you want?
And that spinning
This
guide.
one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a 2500. And that's going to be a really good inshore rod. This is an SJ 842, probably one of the most popular spinning rods in the history of custom rod building. So if you've got a 2500 and you got the SJ 842, what a great kit. What you don't want is you're probably going to be a little disappointed if you build an SJ 842 and then be like, I think I need a 6000 to put on here to, that's not going to work.
Right.
Or, you build a super heavy something for offshore and you're like, I'm just going to put that 2500 on there. So those are obviously exaggerations, but to also enhance your guide spacing and things like that, having the reel, because all spinning reels have a little bit different angle of attack that comes off the spool, things like that you can really start to dial it in. Now, would you notice a difference on your first one? Probably not. you know, but then you start getting really, really specialized and trying to add another 10 foot of your cast or a little bit more accuracy, things like that. Having all the tools that you are going to put into that one rod is actually really going to make a difference for sure. So, yeah, Bill, exactly. We need to extend this class a few more hours. This is a great refresher. So, cool. Bill, it was good seeing you. Guys, I'm going to let y'all keep here for a couple more hours.
No.
But let's see. John's got a question here. At what point do you change from single foot guides to double footed on a spinning rod? Is it fish size, line size, things like that? John, what I've found is depending on your line size and the stress that that rod blank is going to be under is how I sort of decide when I go to double footers. And also, am I going to be, can I do a mix? Like, I do a lot of mixing double foots and single foots, especially on saltwater spinning rods. So I actually, you know, I catch it. I catch it for this. But, you know, I use a FP936, a bass flipping stick to sailfish. I love it. It's great. My first 3 guides are LZR double foot guides. And, you know, we're using a 6 or an 8,000 size spinning reel. But the 8 runners I've got are all single foots. You know, I'm really not running more than 4 pounds of drag on a sailfish rod. Even if I was doing it a little more, you know. And I've caught fish on it, and we've caught, you know, albies on it. We've caught amberjack on it. We've done all kinds of stuff. We put extra heat on it. I haven't had any problem using a CRB LZR single foot runner in a size 6. Like, this is a pretty stout guide. So there's a little bit of mixture there. Like, yeah, you might think like, oh my God, a big sailfish or whatever. It's like, they're fast and they pull kind of hard, but we're only using about 4 pounds of drag. You know, if you were going to be trolling and using 15 pounds of drag at strike or something like that, probably gonna dial it up. One, you're not going to be using a spinning rod for that, but you know, you might not want to use a single footer in a casting situation like that. You might be really pulling on it and then look down and all your single foots are laid down.
Yeah.
Who knows, right? But that is kind of, there's not a perfect, you know, John, this is when it happens. But I do experiment a lot with using double foot like strippers and then your single foot runners. So I do a lot with that. So I think you'd be surprised how much you could get away with single foot runners. So, all right, an hour and 22 minutes. It's almost 8 o'clock. We got Hot Pockets, we got pizza. We got to probably get out of here. Guys, this has been awesome. Lots of questions, comments. We also have to.
Let's do our giveaway number 2. We're going to get to that one.
I was going to say.
Before we do our grand prize.
Yeah.
This is going to be an RBSK-2, which is our advanced rod building startup kit.
Okay.
It's going to be an upgrade from the core startup kit. It's going to have the advanced hand wrapper, a couple larger sizes of your Pro Coat, Pro Paste, a couple extra tools thrown in there.
Yeah.
Great second place prize. Let's cue it up. What we got?
All right, Uncle Phil. Dial it up.
Got an easy name there with the last one.
I know.
Gary
I can't
Olson.
wait to see what we got here.
We'll see what we got here. Fin Chasers.
Nice.
Great name. I like that. Out of YouTube. Fin Chasers.
Sweet. Live at mudhole.com.
There we go.
That's
Cool.
That's how to get it.
Well, let's hit a couple more questions.
We'll do a couple questions, and then we'll do the final giveaway, so we don't keep everybody out here. I like this one. Doyle. I'm sorry. I thought it said Dale there for a second. Whew. Doyle Wooten. Talk about grinding the eyes. I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah, well, hold on.
Yeah, since this is Rod Building 101, we're going to call them guides, not eyes. That's really, and I'm not picking on you. This is really more something that is like from your dad.
Yeah, I can hear him saying it right now.
Yeah, because they're not eyes, they're not eyelets. And these aren't poles.
They're not poles.
Poles are like what hold the power cables and, you know, the phone lines up back in the day. Those are poles. These are blanks, and these are guides. So, again, Doyle, I'm not picking on you. That was really more just for his dad.
It's a laugh.
Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about grinding the feet of the guide.
feet,
So we're going
yes.
to call this guide prep.
Yes.
Are you a guide prep guy?
In certain cases, I think you don't have to, but it will make your life much easier if you have, not a blunt edge.
Yeah.
I wish we had a guide, but we don't.
We got this giant one here. This is
Perfect,
like probably sort of a good example, but also keep in mind that this is a much larger version of what you might be handling.
So I'll try to. Can we get a zoom on that? Yeah.
Get that 10x out,
right
Steve.
there. Perfect. So this one, and it's hard to see the very
No, that's
front.
pretty good. Whoa.
Ooh, stop right there. This guide foot on the very edge here, the very tip end
go,
of
right
that
there.
guide foot.
Yeah. Pretty blunt.
It's a little blunt. It can use a little work on that edge right there, right? So the theory with guide prep here, I'm trying to stay still, but
I don't think it's you.
tough. If you have a blunt edge,
Quit breathing on the camera, Steve.
if you have a blunt edge on the end of your guide foot there, that's going to be a real pain when you go to try to wrap thread up that front of that guide foot.
Yeah, and it's not as bad if it's a size 6.
Right.
But when you got a 40
Yeah.
and like a heavy frame, it's going to take a lot to jump that.
Yep. So the idea behind guide prep is obviously make that process a little bit easier.
Yeah.
I'm going to rotate this just a little bit 'cause I think we can get the front edge. Yeah. So you can see there's a little bit of that kind
It's
of.
already started.
Yep. That
and that's how they
downward,
come.
that downward piece right there on the very edge. You can see it. That's actually not a bad foot that's prepped from the factory.
Yeah. It's just that the frame is thick because
Yeah,
it's a heavier guide.
It's a heavier guide,
Right.
heavier gauge guide. But you could clean that up with a guide file, sandpaper, just a little
tool.
bit Dremel tool. It
Yep.
doesn't take much to get a little more of I like to refer to it as a ramp. That's what it essentially is.
Exactly.
You're going from the blank to up onto this guide foot. The more that you have a ramp or kind of a sharper angle to hit that guide foot, the front of it,
Yeah.
the easier it is to get that thread up. If you have more of a blunt edge, vice versa.
Yeah.
You got more of an issue to try to get that thread up. So, that's
Cool.
kind of the quick, brief description of
Yeah, sure.
guide prep.
That's what you want to call it.
Yeah.
So another good point of that when you were talking about like what to use to do it, I actually, even on the smaller guides, sometimes depending on the finish that is on the outside of the guide frame, they can be like really slick. And sometimes just taking the guide foot and putting it on a file and just kind of going like,
Couple passes.
just like you're not really putting a huge ramp on it, but you're just kind of scuffing the top. And then I always check the back because when you do, if this is a guide foot, if you start ramping over the front, you're going to curl the bottom here, and it's going to put it's going to
burr.
roll, a burr. It's going to push that metal over, and you might gouge into your blank, which you don't want to do. But if you do just a little skirt there on that guide foot, not only does it create a ramp, but it also knocks the smoothness down. So when your thread goes to jump up on there, it kind of has like enough to grab onto that it's not like it's going to hurt it when you're burnishing and smoothing it out, but it just knocks the slickness off of that guide that really helps as well.
Yep.
So yes, Andrew, the Dremel for the guides is quick and easy. The Dremel tool, I don't know. I've had it, I don't even know how long. This is the best $39 I ever spent. I'm cutting and sanding and routing all kinds of stuff that I don't need to do. I got the thing plugged in and got my goggles on. Melissa comes outside, is like, what is that noise?
Yeah, looking like tool
I'm
time.
dremeling again, baby. Let's see. I thought I saw one that was. Are we gonna be open tomorrow? Yeah, we'll be
Believe
open
so.
tomorrow. Joe, is the store going to be open tomorrow? Come on by. Hunter will be here.
Yeah, wear your rain jacket.
Yeah, right.
If there's any changes, check out social media.
Yeah, we will have that. Social media will be the place to find that at the most up to date, the minute. Like, I would be willing to say that Jake's probably outside fishing. 'Cause I think
It's draining.
it's draining. I'm
Draining.
sorry, because you know where to go when it's raining. You just find that drain, and Jake's going to be right there. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Real quick. How do you choose a tip-top size compared to the guide size? Is a titanium worth the extra cost? Tiffany, so I am going to 99% of the time run the same tip-top ring size that the running guide before it is. And probably the 6 running guides before it also. So like, you know, on that casting rod, I've got a double-footed 6. I got 5s all the way out. My ring is a 5. I don't particularly, if let's say you don't have a 5 ring, I would rather do a 6 than a 4. Or Fuji makes a 5.5. I would rather do a 5.5 than a 4.5. I would always, that tip, I would always add a smidge to it if you are running like leader knots. Just because that knot jumps inside there at an angle more than likely. You know, it's coming up and it's got to jump that. If you're running just like straight floral, straight braid, you could probably adjust it a little bit, you know. These are only in instances where you can't use the same. But if I'm running a 5 runner, I'm running a 5 tip, you know. That's just pretty much how it is. The titanium worth the extra cost? I don't know. I mean, titanium is nice, you know. It's, if you don't take care of your stuff and you don't rinse it off and you know, but still, if you had a titanium frame with a big ring in it, you're not going to notice, oh, this is so much lighter because you have all that ceramic in there.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a titanium frame with a very, very, you know, that titanium torzite, that ultra thin ring, you're going to notice, you know, a little bit of weight savings. But if you go to an SSR guide, you might get your feelings hurt because there's no ceramic in it. It's a stainless steel guide. You just got to rinse it a little bit, and it's going to be lighter than titanium. So, yeah, that might set your pocketbook back a little bit. All right. We'll do this, and then we will get out of here because this is a really good shout out to the team that did the G2. I'll tell you that the Pro G2 Power Wrapper has made my epoxying 1,000,000 times better with the fast spinning to apply, made thinner coats easier and apply more evenly. Awesome. So, good job to everybody that was involved in that. That was a big one, and we're stoked that you guys need it. And as Matthew said, we need the big mullet rod. So, all right, it is just over an hour and a half. Uncle Phil's ready to get out of here. We have the next show. No. Let's give something away.
No.
All right. He's motioning, I know. Let's do the all-in-one
All right.
kit of choice.
Grand prize. We're going to do
Yeah.
an all-in-one kit. And, of course, whoever does win gets to take their pick.
Yes. Perfect. That'll work.
Cue it up.
All right, Uncle Phil.
So we've had 2 YouTubes.
2 YouTubers.
Are we going to have a third?
Yeah?
Or are we going to have a Facebook?
Or we got anybody from Twitch?
Twitch? Any Twitch viewers out there?
Yeah. Or is Uncle Phil the only one? Ah,
Lightspeed 77 out of YouTube.
a full YouTube sweep tonight. I don't know if we've ever had that.
I don't think so either.
I don't know if we have ever had that at all. All right, winner, Lightspeed 77. Dwayne Collins out of Facebook. What's the difference between size A and D thread? The thickness of the thread. Usually on like Fly Ultralight, I'm going to use size A. D thread, more geared to saltwater and heavier stuff. And since we had a full run of YouTubers tonight, since Dwayne Collins, since you're out of Facebook, send me an email live@mudhole.com. I'm going to send you a $25 gift card. So
Bingo.
that's it. We had to run Hunter's card tonight for something. So Dwayne Collins, hopefully you're still there with us this evening. So live@mudhole.com. Shoot me an email along with the other winners, please. Thank you guys very much for joining us for 101 here. We had about 450 all night. That's pretty good. Really, really good if you ask me. Now, we got another show coming up. Do we have, what's the date on that guy? 26? Yeah, I think that's, what is this? Oh no. All right, so, I'm sorry, I have a pretty big teleprompter here and I am, I can see this is great.
Us.
All right,
They
so
got
anyway,
us.
we have the next show topic. Since somebody in the show earlier said not too long till hard water hits, the next show topic is an ice fishing show, and it's going to be called Hard Water Hammers.
It's a little cold in here.
It is freezing. So Hard Water Hammers, that's going to be episode 102, Tuesday, the 26th of September at 6:30 Eastern.
We'll be wearing our parkas.
Yeah, our thermal underwear. There ain't no shorts underneath those. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so yes, thank you for that. Now, for those 353 viewers that are still with us, and
Lucky.
some of y'all asked earlier in the show, and it's in here somewhere, I hadn't said anything. Speaking of Ricky Sanders, Labor Day sale? How about that? We got a Labor Day sale. 20% off. You spend $200 or more.
Correct.
Okay? We got a code. All right? The code is LD20200. Whoever made that one up. LD2200, if that makes any sense.
What? It's not 2200.
Yeah, 20.
20.
Yeah, exactly.
Space.
So, again, they'll put it in the thing. Sorry, we're having a little fun tonight. LD for Labor Day, 20200. There it is. Also, you're going to earn double the mud bucks. So we got a Labor Day sale, 20% off if you spend $200 or more. Now, for those that are signed up in the email, thank you, Mudhole Custom Tackle, for putting that in there. The email's not going to go out till tomorrow, right? So you guys get first crack at it. That's how we keep y'all happy, and that's how we show our appreciation. Because we love giving you guys and gals out there the extra little info. So there you go. Labor Day sale. That is going to run all the way through Tuesday. All right, through Tuesday. So go ahead and start now. You'll get a jump on all of the people that, aren't as cool as you when they open up their email tomorrow and see the sale. So again, we appreciate everybody very, very much. An hour and 38 minutes. A lot of people tonight. We had Steve on the Zoom, so we got him out of the, he bought us pizza. And we got him out of the war room. As you saw last time on the show, we went into the war room. So we got him out of the war room tonight, got him in here. I think he did a really good job, even though we were purposely giving him a hard time to chase us around with the Zoom. But, and of course, Sean Chaney, I saw him before the show. He was down there helping out. And of course, we had Jake in here, the big mullet, the little mullet live, all that stuff. He was here helping out. Birdman obviously was in the building earlier. We have to give a very big happy birthday to, I called him Jason one time, but it's not. So his name is Justin. And you've seen him here. He's 20, which just makes me mad, because I just turned 41 and he told me that he was 20 and I thought he was kidding. So anyway, happy birthday, Justin. And of course, Hoffman's been helping out from home as well. He does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. You don't get to see him personally, but you get to see a hell of a lot of what he does. So that's awesome. And then of course, we had Uncle Phil here on the ones and twos. And Matt Kuhlman always joining in on all the graphics. Did Kuhlman do the parkas? How did I know? Perfect. Coolman, that was pretty cool. As always, man. Great job. And of course, Hunter McCamey, my left-hand man here. Guys, thank you very much. Episode 101, Rod Building 101 is in the books. And we will see y'all next month for Hard Water Hammers, episode 102.
Thanks for watching.
Have a good one.